We are living in strange times, times when lies wear the mask of truth and truth is labeled as judgmental, times when people edit their words to gain approval rather than to reflect conviction. And yet, amid all this noise, in a world where deception has become the new normal, there is a call from heaven echoing into our hearts: be honest. Stand firm, speak truth. If there was ever a time when the world needed people of integrity, it is now. Because truth is not trending, and that's exactly why it's powerful. But honesty isn't easy. It's not glamorous. It doesn't always bring applause. In fact, it might cost you friendships, opportunities, maybe even your reputation. But listen carefully, it will never cost you your soul. When we lie, even in small ways, something within us begins to die. Our peace fades. Our confidence trembles. But when we stand in truth, even when the world mocks us, something eternal strengthens inside: courage. And courage is the foundation of every honest life. Do you know why deception spreads so fast today? Because it's convenient. It's easier to post an image of who we want to be than to live as who we are. It's easier to agree with lies than to stand alone with the truth. But let me remind you, truth has never needed a majority to be real. One honest voice can silence 1,000 deceits. Think of it. The world doesn't crumble because evil is loud. It collapses because good men stay silent. And honesty, true honesty, begins in silence, in the quiet choices we make when no one's watching. When you tell the truth in a culture that thrives on deception, you become a revolutionary. You bring light into dark corners. You restore what deception has broken: trust, respect, hope. The foundation of truth is not in society, it's in the soul. God is truth, and every lie distances us from Him. Every honest act draws us closer. The world may not reward your honesty, but heaven will. And when the applause fades and the lights go out, it's your integrity that will keep your heart at peace. Maybe today you're standing in a place where lying feels safer than telling the truth. But remember, the temporary comfort of deceit always leads to permanent pain. While the cost of honesty may be heavy, it's the only path that leads to real freedom. So, in a world of deception, be honest. When others fake it, be real. When others twist the truth, speak it straight. When others compromise, stand your ground. Because one day, the world will need to know what truth looks like. And in that moment, let it look like you. Let your life testify that integrity is still possible, that truth is still powerful, and that honesty still matters. Don't just live in truth, live for it, because deception will fade, but truth will stand forever. When I look around at the world we live in today, I see something deeply troubling. Truth has become a stranger. It's no longer welcomed in conversations, in politics, in relationships, or even in the hearts of many who claim to value it. We've built a culture where deception has become not just common, but convenient. People bend the truth, twist it, decorate it, and disguise it, all for the sake of acceptance, advancement, or applause. And what's worse, we've grown so used to it that we hardly notice anymore. There was a time when a man's word meant something. A handshake was as binding as a contract. But now, words are used as tools to manipulate, to deceive, to shape perception instead of reflecting conviction. The line between truth and falsehood has been blurred, erased, rewritten, and the world applauds those who can deceive the best. Yet, deep down, there's a hunger, a longing for something real, something pure, something honest. We live in a digital age where people can edit their image, filter their flaws, and project perfection. But beneath those polished smiles and crafted captions, there's emptiness. Because deception might dazzle the eyes, but it can never satisfy the soul. You can't lie your way into peace. You can't fake your way into joy. Truth is the oxygen of the human spirit. Without it, everything inside begins to suffocate. And maybe that's why the world feels so wary, because we're all gasping for something real. The more deception spreads, the more exhausted our souls become. But friend, the moment we choose honesty, something shifts. Light breaks through darkness. Hope rises where hypocrisy used to dwell. Truth doesn't need an army. It just needs one voice willing to speak it. It doesn't shout, it shines. It doesn't demand power, it reveals it. So when the world says, just say what they want to hear, when your heart whispers, hide the truth, it's safer that way. Remember, this deception might protect your image, but truth will preserve your soul. We can't afford to make peace with lies, because every time truth is silenced, deception grows stronger. And the world doesn't need more clever words, it needs honest hearts. When we talk about honesty, we often think of it as a moral choice, a decision we make to do the right thing. But honesty goes much deeper than that. It isn't just about what we say, it's about who we are. When you walk in truth, you are reflecting the very heart of God. Because truth is not an idea, truth is a person. It's the essence of the one who created you, the foundation of his nature. When you choose honesty, you are not simply following a rule, you are mirroring his character to a watching world. Think about it from the beginning of time. Deception has been the enemy of God's design. In the garden, the serpent didn't attack with violence, he attacked with a lie. That's how powerful deception is. Lies distort what God made beautiful. They twist what he called good. But honesty restores what lies destroy. When you speak truth, you are partnering with heaven's agenda. You're declaring, I belong to the God of truth, not the father of lies. And that changes everything, because the moment you decide to be honest, even when it hurts, you step into alignment with divine authority. You begin to live in sync with eternity's rhythm. The Spirit of God dwells comfortably in a heart of truth, but withdraws from the soil of deception. You cannot walk in fellowship with the Holy One while your heart entertains falsehood. Honesty isn't about looking perfect, it's about living pure. It means you tell the truth even when it costs you something. It means you speak light even when the room prefers darkness. It means that you choose transparency over approval. And though the world may mock you for being too real, heaven applauds because you have chosen to reflect the nature of the one who is forever faithful. So when you open your mouth, let your words carry the weight of truth. When you make promises, let your actions match your speech. When temptation whispers, no one will ever know, remind yourself that the eyes of God always see, and he delights in those who walk uprightly. To be honest is not to be weak. It is to be strong in spirit. It is to live as a reflection of divine integrity in a world desperate for authenticity. And that's where the real challenge begins, doesn't it? Because deception never starts with something big. It doesn't walk in wearing a bold sign that says, I'm here to destroy your integrity. No, it begins quietly, almost innocently in the small corners of life. It whispers just this once. It suggests it's not a big deal. And before we realize it, those small compromises begin to build walls between who we are and who God called us to be. The danger isn't in the grand lies. It's in the subtle ones. It's in the half-truths we tell to protect our image. It's in the exaggeration that makes us look a little better, or the omission that keeps us from feeling embarrassed. Those moments feel harmless. After all, they're small, right? But listen carefully. Every great deception begins as a small exception. A single dishonest word can open a door that leads to a lifetime of regret. When you tell yourself that a small lie won't matter, you're planting a seed that will eventually grow into something far larger than you ever intended. One compromise today becomes two tomorrow, and soon your conscience, which once burned hot for truth, grows dull and quiet. That's how deception wins. It numbs your spirit one decision at a time. The enemy doesn't need you to commit a great evil. He only needs you to justify a small one. Because once you do, he knows he's got a foothold. And if you give deception an inch, it will demand your peace, your credibility, and your joy. So guard your heart even in the little things. Tell the truth when it would be easier to lie. Keep your word when no one expects you to. Admit your mistakes before they grow into mountains of shame. Honesty in the small things builds the strength to stand firm in the great ones. Every time you choose truth over comfort, you are building a wall of integrity that deception cannot climb. The small decisions matter. The private moments count. The unseen choices are the ones that define your character. Because when honesty governs your small actions, it will anchor your life when the great storms of temptation come. And that's exactly why truth matters so deeply, because truth brings freedom, while deception always brings bondage. You see, a lie may feel like a shelter at first. It may seem like a quick escape, a temporary solution to avoid embarrassment or consequence. But the moment you tell it, you've built yourself a prison. You spend your energy trying to remember what you said, trying to protect the illusion you created, trying to hold together something that was never real to begin with. And that, my friend, is exhausting. Deception doesn't just trap you in falsehood, it steals your peace. It replaces confidence with fear. It whispers constantly, what if they find out? What if the truth comes to light? And it always does. The weight of dishonesty is too heavy for any soul to carry. It breaks marriages, destroys friendships, and corrodes your relationship with God. You can't walk in freedom while dragging chains of deceit behind you. But when you choose truth, even when it costs you something, you breathe again. The burden lifts. Your heart beats freely because there's nothing to hide, nothing to protect, nothing to fake. Truth has this incredible way of cleansing the soul. It doesn't just set you free, it keeps you free. Yes, truth can hurt. It can expose what you wanted to conceal. It can cost you comfort, reputation, or opportunity. But the temporary pain of truth is far lighter than the lifelong weight of deception. When you tell the truth, you may lose something in the moment, but you gain something far greater. Peace, clarity, and the unshakable confidence that you are standing on solid ground. The world may try to convince you that lying makes life easier, that bending the truth keeps you safe. But that's a trap. Lies are like chains. Each one you tell wraps tighter around your spirit until you can't move freely anymore. Truth, on the other hand, is like light. It breaks the darkness, it exposes what's hidden, and it gives you room to breathe. So if you find yourself living behind walls of deception, break them down with honesty. Speak the truth, live the truth, and walk in the freedom that only truth can give. Because the moment you choose truth over comfort, chains begin to fall. And when those chains fall, something powerful begins to happen. You start to shine. Because when honesty takes root in your life, it doesn't stay hidden, it radiates. In a world where deception has dimmed the light of truth, an honest heart becomes a lamp in the darkness. People notice. They may not understand it, but they feel it. There's something magnetic about a person who walks in integrity. You don't have to announce it. You simply live it, and your life becomes a testimony without words. We are living in a generation that's drowning in information but starving for authenticity. Everyone's talking, but very few are telling the truth. The world doesn't need louder voices. It needs clearer ones. It needs men and women who will stand up and say, this is right, this is true, this is real. When honesty shines through your life, you become a reference point in a culture lost in confusion. And make no mistake, being a light doesn't mean being perfect. It means being real. It means admitting when you've failed, confessing when you've fallen, and choosing truth when it costs you comfort. The brightness of your light isn't determined by your perfection, but by your willingness to stay transparent before God and others. That's what makes your witness powerful. Sometimes being honest will make you stand alone. It will separate you from the crowd. But even then, you are never truly alone, because every time you stand for truth, heaven stands with you. The applause of men fades quickly, but the approval of God echoes into eternity. So don't hide your light. Let it shine in your home, in your workplace, in your conversations, even in your silence. The world is desperate for examples of integrity, and your life may be the only Bible some people ever read. When you live honestly, your presence brings conviction where there's compromise, comfort where there's confusion, and courage where there's fear. Each act of honesty is a spark that pushes back the darkness. Each truthful word adds warmth to a world grown cold with deceit. And though the night around us may seem thick with falsehood, remember, darkness cannot overcome light. Even a single flame can guide the lost safely home.